Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I haven't done an interview in a long time. Well, I've actually only ever done one, and it was with Lily Kane. But this other person that I'm bringing on today was in like the top 3 of people I wanted to interview. When I actually started my carnivore account on Instagram, she randomly commented on one of my posts, and I clicked her profile, and I was like, oh my God, this girl's account was amazing. And then we ended up talking here and there quite a bit, and she's taught me a lot. So super excited to bring her on today. She just hit, I believe, a little bit over a year on carnivore. She has an amazing weight loss journey and health journey. So we're going to learn a lot from her today. Welcome, Courtney.
Hi. Okay, quite the intro. Thank you. I'm sitting here like, wow.
You're like, who, me? Come on. How's it going? How's your day been so far?
It's good. And following in the footsteps of Lily Kane was your first interview. I'm honored to be here. I'm excited to chat with you.
No, I was always so excited to have both of you on. Do you remember that day that you like commented on? It's like one of my first posts, and I was like, why is she commenting? Like,
oh, really? No, I was trying to remember like how we connected first, if it was like TikTok or Instagram. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was back in February, I believe. I don't know why I have such a clear memory of it, but it was when I decided to go super strict carnivore, and I was like suffering with my Lyme disease, acne, blah blah blah. Like, I need to just cut out the dairy and do this. And you commented, and you were like, "You got this, girl," and I was like, "Thank you. I don't even know you." And then I started following you, and then I found you on TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, she's getting that TikTok hate."
I'm glad that you are too.
Yeah.
I'm not so alone.
You're not alone. You're not alone. So, I mean, I want to get into the TikTok stuff for sure. But for anybody that doesn't know you, just give us a brief summary of your kind of journey on carnivore and really why you even started in the first place.
Yeah, so I'm 39. I have a long history of disordered, wonky eating, probably like 25 years of just trying anything I can. Yo-yo dieting. I've tried it all. Grapefruit diet, Slim Fast, Weight Watchers. I don't know if I did Jenny Craig. And then it started to get a little bit better. I found paleo in 2010, and then that led to keto and low carb and all that. Still, nothing was ever like sustainable. It worked. Like, I lost weight on keto, but then I would gain it all back. Like I feel like cheat weekends and cheat meals are so widely accepted in keto. Like, that's just what you do. And it was such a slippery slope for me. And always having like the keto treats. I didn't realize till now, like looking back, like, oh, that's what my issue was. A lot of it mentally was continuing to have those keto treats and keeping that sweet flavor in. Because I'm realizing now, like, I need to abstain. I'm not good at moderating. So like, someone can maybe have some fruit and that'd be good. But for me, then that would just like kick off some cravings. So found carnivore, actually animal-based. Probably, I think we're on like 15 months now. My initial introduction was my husband sending me Paul Saladino's TikToks. And he sent them to me for like a month before we even talked about it. And then one day I'm like, why are you sending me these videos? Like, should we not be eating vegetables? I'm like, this is so weird because, coming from a keto place where it's like shit ton of veggies with some protein, I was like, what is happening? So that was my intro. And so I did do animal based for about 5 weeks and realized like the fruit wasn't working for me. I would eat like a pound of ribeye and like my mouth would still want to eat more fruit. So I ditched the fruit and I've been, well, I don't know if I should say strict carnivore. I mean, I ate a pickle like a month ago and
put her in jail. Put her in jail.
Right? I mean, carnivore police are going to arrest me, but I would consider like strict carnivore pretty much for the last, I guess, 15 months. It was May of whatever the year before is. Where are we?
Wow, yeah. Somehow it's August. Okay, so I actually didn't know that. So you only did animal-based for 5 weeks, and after, like, that was enough for you to just transition and just go to carnivore.
Yeah, I had no plans of going strict carnivore. Like, when I first started, I'm like, whoa, I get to have like fruit. And I was still mindful about it. Like, coming from a low carb place, I would keep it to like 50, maybe 75 carbs of fruit and like some honey and stuff. But yeah, it quickly just wasn't working for me.
Wow, that's really funny that you found it through Paul Saladino too. That was one of my other questions. I wasn't sure because I have a similar story to you as well. I found it through him and I was like, this is easy. Fruit, honey, meat, dairy. Like, what's wrong with that? And then I ended up actually like gaining weight, and I was having a lot of other issues. So yeah, that's cool that you kind of had the same thing. So you were keto for how many years before
On and
this?
off for about 7 years,
Wow,
and never heard of carnivore.
that's crazy. So did you find any like, okay, especially during like the first couple of years, did you find any like significant results at all with weight loss or mental health or anything?
Um, I guess not mental health, but yeah, weight loss. I mean, before I went to carnivore, I probably wasn't quite keto, but I was low carb, tracking macros. And I lost almost all the baby weight from my second kid. So I guess I think I lost like 50 pounds.
Oh
And then
wow.
I was almost to my goal. And then I'm like, oh, intuitive eating. Yeah, no foods are bad. Everything's on the table. Sure, let's eat some croissants. And so, now noticing that I can't moderate that stuff. I gained 40 pounds in 4 months. And so
Oh
that little stint was right before I went animal based or carnivore.
wow. Yeah, no, that's crazy. You've been through a lot with that. Okay, so let's just dive right into binge eating because I can definitely relate to you on this one. So, talk about your journey with that. Like, do you feel like it kind of happens without you even realizing? Like, when you gain those 40 pounds in 4 months, that's obviously a lot in a short period of time. Did it get to the end of the 4 months where you were like, holy crap, I don't even realize what I just did? Or like, walk us through that process.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of like sneaking food. So, coming home from the store and eating a pack of cookies on the way home, but bringing one in for the family to eat and no one knew. It's just so silly because it's like, oh, no one's going to know, but you're getting huge. So it's like clearly you're doing something. And yeah, like there was a point where I was like almost every night, like going to McDonald's and getting a McFlurry. Like, so, like just
Oh,
disgusting.
so
So,
good.
they're really delicious, but it was just like, yeah, it was just so bad. And it was so, I mean, that whole, like, I don't even know, group of whatever of the whole intuitive eating thing really pisses me off now looking back, because maybe that works for some people, but for some of us that literally like have carb and sugar addictions, to keep incorporating that in your diet, like that's like having an alcoholic like try and moderate their drinking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not going to work. So the way they like push it and like say it's for everyone, and you have to have everything to have a good relationship with food, it's like, no, for me, having a good relationship mentally with food is getting rid of the things that don't make me feel my best. And now I don't obsessively think about food. I mean, before it's like I would constantly be thinking what my next meal was, or, I wanted sweets and then I would try not to have them, or maybe I'd fit them in my macros. Like the mental gymnastics I went through to try and incorporate all those foods was like exhausting. So I feel like I have food freedom now, even though people are like, how? Like, you don't eat everything. How is that freedom? But for me, it's like mentally freeing to not be obsessed about your food. I mean, as good as a ribeye is, but I think you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. No, 100%. Would you say at this point, 15 months later, like 100%, you feel like you've completely healed your relationship with food? Do you ever have days where you're like thinking about some of the foods you used to eat or anything like that? Or do you feel like you have any progress to go with that relationship?
I think it's always going to be a thing. Like, I don't think I could ever, I mean, I guess in a way, like I won't ever have a good relationship with a donut, because I mean, there's also a reason that I don't drink alcohol anymore. If I have a glass of something right now, it's downhill and I'll drink until I black out. So in a way, yeah, I don't think it's healed my relationship with food. Like, I just now know that I can't go back to eating that way. So I just totally abstain. I mean, maybe in the future, like I'll have, some fruit and that will be okay. And like mentally I'll be okay with that. But I'm sure as hell like not gonna have like a regular slice of cake, because I
Oh
won't be able
God,
to walk away. Like I'll eat the whole cake and then it will
100%.
just spiral. So yeah, I just need to stay away.
100%. Yeah, no, I really like that answer. And the reality is, and everyone on carnivore knows this, it might not even be like what you just said. Like, it might always be a journey. You might not be able to say, like, yeah, 100%, it's no issue. Like, my relationship with food is 100% fixed. But how much more aware are we of our body? Like, I didn't know anything about foods or my body or that whole relationship until, like, this year. So I think even just having that awareness and like Jen did a video on this too, which was, she was talking about the mindset you have to have on carnivore. And I think that's actually the most important thing, because like you just said, some people are like, okay, well, you don't actually have freedom because you can't eat all these things. And it's like, no. I mean, I could if I wanted to. I don't want to. We're still choosing this, right? Like nobody's putting a knife to our throat and saying, eat this ribeye right now.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's something that people need to realize, because we are choosing this just because it makes us feel better. That's one thing that frustrates me, is when people are making all those negative comments on TikTok and stuff like that. They're like, oh, why don't you just eat this, or you're promoting like eating disorders, stuff like that. I'm like, what about all those other diets? Is that not promoting eating disorders, or like the whole intuitive eating thing? Like, oh, just eat whatever you want. It's just completely backwards.
Yeah, these people think that this is an eating disorder, but we're limiting foods that don't make us feel good. We're not limiting nutrients, and we're sure as hell not limiting calories. Like I've never eaten so much, I feel like, calories and fat in my entire life as I do now. But what really like irritates me is they think that in order to have like a good relationship with food or have a balanced diet, that you have to include these foods. It's like, and my thing I always come back and say is, okay, well, do you have heroin on the weekends, but only on Saturday, like not during the week, because then that would be too much. You have to only have it in moderation. So I think people don't realize that people have like these addictions to food and sugar, or like carbs and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just have to abstain from them. Like it's the same thing with like an alcoholic. Why would you be like, oh my gosh, you can't have just one drink? Like you should be able to have one drink. If you kind of switch the verbiage to that, then I feel like it makes a little bit more sense, and maybe people can like be aware that some of us just can't moderate ourselves around these foods, and that's fine. Like,
Yeah,
off, leave us alone.
that's so true. No, that's so good. So you obviously said you cut out alcohol. Did that happen at all when you were keto? Or did you get pretty strict? Sorry, when you went carnivore.
No, yeah, I've been sober for like a little over 2 years now. So I was a year sober when I started carnivore.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Going back to the carbs as well. So I know you said fruit was an issue for you. Do you have the same opinion on fruit versus carbs in general? Like let's say sweet potatoes, rice, etc. Any of like the low toxic carbs. Do you feel like they're all in the same category for you, or if you ate any of those, you would have the same reaction?
Yeah, I mean, if I had some rice, like I could eat the heck out of rice. Like rice and sour cream with a lot of salt was like my jam. So yeah,
Oh,
with any of that, even a sweet potato, I would go to town, and then I would think about it, and then I would want it. So yeah, none of those will work for me for sure. It's just always going to like ignite that addiction. Like I'm like
yeah.
one bite away from my old
Yeah.
habit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So you haven't tried reintroducing a lot of things, really?
No, only because I know like mentally it's just not going to work for me. Like, I mean, I could, eat some Brussels sprouts. Well, I know that's probably going to give me gas, and maybe like mentally that wouldn't affect me. But yeah, anything that would have like a sweet flavor or that's like really delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure. So besides your weight loss, which has obviously been amazing, like what, 45 pounds now?
Yeah.
And a
45.
little, that's amazing. Besides that, did you have any other like major physical or mental health issues, or just in general, what are some of like the biggest benefits that you've noticed?
Yeah, my skin has cleared up a ton. I used to have horrible acne, like forever. So that was nice. The mental health thing, like I did not expect that. So I like to talk about that so people can know that it can happen, because I went into this because I was fat and I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And I was on Zoloft when I started eating this way, and we had lowered my dose. So it wasn't great. I still wasn't happy. So when I started eating this way, I could tell a shift in my mood and my mental health. So I was able to go off of my Zoloft, and of course I still like have my moments, but it really makes me mad to think about how like nobody talked about my diet, or how it's still not even like talked about. It's like, oh, you have this problem? Sure, let's give you medication. Instead of being like, well, what's your lifestyle like? Are you exercising? Like, what are you eating? Like it really frustrates me,
Yeah.
because the whole, what do they say, like diabetes of the brain is like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So like having all those carbs and sugar are affecting our brains. And it's also like, would you put diesel into like a car that ran on regular gasoline? So why are we not making this link? Well, I feel like some of us are, but most of the population, we're not making this link between what we're eating and our mental health. And I didn't before either. And it's like, gosh, we need to like wake people up that they are for sure linked together.
Oh my God, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, you were literally on medication, excuse me, for your mental health. So you can speak on that personally. How long did it take you to, like, did you start weaning off? Did you go off cold turkey? What was that process like?
Yeah, I weaned really slowly because I went off of it way before carnivore, about 6 months before carnivore. I tried to go off of it, and my doctor, she had me off in 2 weeks. She's like, "Here, you just cut it back, and boom." Never once said anything about possible side effects. Like I thought side effects were for people that went cold turkey. I thought I had the flu. I was having these what I now know or called brain zaps. Like it just felt like every time you looked or moved your head, like you were just being like electrocuted in your head and all these horrible symptoms. Yeah. So I ended up going back on it because my mental health was not in a good place. So when I went off of it this time, I'm like, okay, screw my doctor's advice because that was horrible. So I just slowly cut it back. Like I got a pill cutter and went really slow for weeks, if not a month, every time I did it. And by the end, I was like having this little tiny piece. I mean, it was like crumb, as small as I could cut it. So yeah, definitely need to go low and slow.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I know it's funny how many things you start to do without your doctor once you go carnivore and you're so much more aware of your own body. And it's like I see so many people that just do whatever their doctor says or just don't even think about like how they're possibly feeling. I mean, that's a whole other separate topic that I can go off on is the whole Western medicine because like it took me so long to even get into working with like functional medicine doctors and stuff like that. Even when I had Lyme disease, they were like, "No, you don't." And I'm like, "I just got bit by a tick. Now I'm like deathly ill." Because all the tests they do are just basic blood tests that aren't accurate at all. So, yeah, it's very empowering to see all the people in carnivore start to just take care of their own body and become aware of what they need to do and then teach other people to do that as well because like I think that's the most important thing right now in the world is
Yeah.
for people to be able to recognize that like we are not going to get any help from
Yeah.
them.
Well, that's
It's
the thing. I mean, I feel like there's two parts to it because then you have like, okay, the whole like big pharma thing and they're trying to make money. And why would they get to the root of things when they can just sell you something to, mask the problem? And then you have also, which where I was, is you're blindly believing what the doctors are telling you because why would you question them? They're a figure of or authority figure or whatever that is. And you trust them, and that's where I was like I 100% trusted everything like any doctor or whatever told me. Why, it's science, but now we know like science can be bought and these doctors don't know a lot about nutrition. They're just regurgitating like information they've been told. And so I feel like for me, what changed were the last 3 years. That's when I totally woke up and my eyes were open to, oh, okay, well, I'm not going
yeah.
to blindly believe what these people are telling me. I'm going to start questioning things. And I feel like it's, people are slowly getting there, but it's definitely still divided. I feel like even eating this way is very divided politically. So
Oh
it's been
yeah.
interesting to see that whole side of things.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's get into the all the carnivore hate. So obviously you know this better than anyone. I actually don't know. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know really many other people in carnivore that have like a big TikTok following. Are there many others?
Not really. I mean, because I don't, I mean, I know like Bella went over there, but then she, I
Mhm.
think, kind of fell off of posting. Like, I think I'm one of the more like consistent ones to keep showing up. And now I feel like there's a lot more accounts out there that I see. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like TikTok's toxic. So they just don't go over there. So I think that's kind of why I was able to grow because there wasn't a lot of people sharing over there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember when I first found your TikTok account and I was seeing all the comments. I just couldn't believe the type of things people were saying, and it's the thing that's so frustrating is to me is that there's all these people that are vegan, vegetarian, like nobody's hating on them. And plus, like I have friends that are vegan, friends that are vegetarian, whatever. I've never once thought like, let me make a rude comment. Like I genuinely don't care what anyone else is doing, but as soon as somebody's eating steak and butter, oh no, like let's try and destroy their life. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's so wild. And it was so like unexpected too, because I was showing up on social media before I went carnivore. I was sharing like my low carb keto journey. I shared when I dabbled in this intuitive eating. So I was already sharing things and nobody cared. Nobody was really watching. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I never got any bad comments, even on the low carb keto stuff. And so right when I started sharing this, it's like people's heads exploded. So I had no idea. I wasn't following a lot of influencers in this space at the time either. So I didn't know like if they were getting hate. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I see blah, blah, blah on Instagram and they're like all over in the comments, like, hopefully it doesn't happen to me. Like I had no clue. This has been my first experience getting online bullied. It's been
And
wild.
okay, if you guys don't follow Courtney on TikTok, you have to go follow her because you are so funny. Like your replies back to people. I literally went on your account the other day because I was like, oh, I haven't seen one of her posts in a while, and I missed like your last 10. I was just dying laughing, scrolling through like some of the comments. Like people are like, that's disgusting. Like I would never eat that, and you're like, okay, don't. And you're just like the replies you give to people are so spot on. It's like, okay.
Yeah, sometimes just to like help me not cry, I'll like reply like sarcastically or something. But sometimes it just like I ignore most of them, which is unfortunate because that means the genuine comments are getting ignored as well. But I just go in, clear out notifications. But sometimes like I'm in that, I feel like this happens once a month. I really attach to the negative comments for whatever reason and it gets to me. And sometimes I'll clap back like a little too much because it's like, why? And then I'm the bad person. Like you're here, essing all over my comments. But then if I reply to stick up for myself, then I'm the horrible person and I'm the one that's rude and defensive. It's like, what about the hundreds of comments that are saying these things about me? Like none of it makes sense over there. It's such a trip.
Yeah, it's crazy for sure. So you kind of just answered my next question. So you try not to read comments. Like in general, do you feel like you do miss a lot of the people that like support you or do have genuine questions and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I feel bad about that. So I'm trying to like find the balance because it's like everyone's always like, then just don't read the comments. It's like, well, this is also social media and you want to have conversations with people. But to find those nice comments, I have to read the bad comments. So it's like, it's a me issue. So I need to like be in the right mindset when I do go in the comments. But then it also like pisses me off. Like, why do I have to do all this inner work to try to manage how you guys are speaking to me? Like,
Oh
let's
my
just be
god.
kind people so I don't have to sorry. I'm trying to watch my language. So I don't have to go to therapy after reading your guys' comments,
No, seriously. So I know I DM'd you this yesterday, but I just started posting like consistently on TikTok again. So I'm on day 5 of 7 of strict carnivore. I was just gonna do a 7-day reset, and I was like, I'm only posting this for myself. Like deep down, I was like, I really hope these don't blow up because every time they blow up, people are just so mean. And of course, I posted like 2 nights ago. I woke up in the morning, it was at like 110,000 views, and I'm like, no, 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 please, like I can't handle this. So for me, because I consider myself a pretty like overly sensitive person, like it is really hard for me to read comments like that. I think because most of the comments I get are like about my skin and stuff like that, and I already have so much, like trauma and like shame associated to that. But it's like the whole point I even started carnivore was because of my skin. So when people are saying stuff like that, it's like, okay, let me just delete my account, figure this out on my own because it's not worth it. But then there's so many people that are like, thanks for sharing your journey, like asking you questions. So it's like, we gotta just try to ignore those freaking trolls
Yeah.
because that's all they are.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, yes, it may get to me sometimes because I am very sensitive too. And I do cry sometimes reading the comments, but it's like, I don't want to let them win. I'm not going to let them silence me and stop sharing this because it is helping a lot of people. But I think those are the comments that hurt the most when it's about insecurities. Like, it annoys me when they're telling me like what an idiot I am and how gross this looks or my arteries. Like, that's frustrating to see. But I think the ones that hurt are like talking about like my poor kids, or they're talking about like how fat I am because I still have a little bit to lose. So the things that you're already like insecure about are what's like upsetting, because there's a saying like, oh, if they're making fun of you for having blue hair and you don't have blue hair, then why would it let you affect you? But when they're making fun of things that I guess are true, like they are right in a way, then that's what like stings. And you're like, gosh, guys, like,
so true. Like, trust me, I've already thought it myself. You don't need to point it out.
yeah,
That's 100% what it is. Plus, like, we're posting such vulnerable stuff. You know, it's already like risky in the first place. So when people kind of like take that and run with it, it's just like, I think you posted this on your Instagram story, or I don't know if you made an actual TikTok on this, where somebody was calling you like chubby or something like that, and you kind of went off on like a really, really good rant saying how there's all this huge body positivity movement where we're encouraging people to be obese and this and that, but like I've literally lost 50 pounds and I maybe have 5 or 10 pounds to lose, and you're still picking on that. It's just, it makes no sense. It's just
yeah.
everything's so backwards.
Yeah, and I really think it stems from like the people that are saying this, like they're obviously getting triggered by something that we're doing or saying. So I think they're like, I don't know, the whole like cognitive dissonance thing, or they're being triggered. Maybe they're feeling defensive about the way they eat. So it's truly that whole hurt people, but knowing that doesn't make it easier to read these
Yeah.
comments at all.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Yeah, it's crazy. I do want to get into talking about your kids though, because I think I watched one of your videos the other day where you were explaining the diet that they're on. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. They're not on a carnivore diet. Are they on more of like a paleo diet, or what do their meals kind of look like?
I would say more like animal based. It's so weird to even say out loud. I don't even know if I've actually said this out loud, but I have not given them vegetables in a good maybe year, which is like mind blowing. But it's like there's this sense of like shame, or like, oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? Because this is still like new. And it took us a while to make any changes with them, because this goes against everything we've been told. We've been brainwashed to believe a certain way. So it's like, well, I'm going to try this out. I'm not going to like immediately change my kids. But yes, we've slowly, and I feel like we've always been pretty mindful, of what we give them, but it's definitely changed drastically. So they do have fruit, but even that, I try and keep it minimal, because I see them being little like sugar addicts with the fruit. Like they always want something sweet. It's like, okay, you can have a few strawberries, but let's pair it with a protein, like have a piece of meat or cheese. So we try and be mindful and just really like educate them and just teach them like, okay, if you have all this ice cream, like that's probably not going to make your body feel good. So let's pay attention, if you do eat this, how you feel afterwards. So education, I feel like, is the biggest thing. So yes, they have fruit, dairy, meat. We do sourdough bread, but even that, like I try and minimize it. And they do have some things once in a while that are crap. So if we go to a kid's birthday party, it's something I toy and go back and forth with. Like, of course, we could make the decision and be like, you are not having this pizza, you are not having this ice cream. But then there's also that social pressure where I don't also want to do that.
Yeah.
So we do let them have that. And we just tell them like just to pay attention to how they're feeling. Because I also don't want to cause issues with them when they're older. I don't want them to go to a friend's house and binge on all the things. So it's definitely like a daily battle, work in progress, just trying to be aware of just teaching them proper nutrition.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine how hard that must be. And I was curious because your husband is carnivore as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does the same diet as you. So when you guys started that, did your kids were obviously extremely observant? Did they have a lot of questions? Like, what were those beginning conversations kind of like with you letting them know, like, okay, we're eating like this now? And then was it hard? I don't know if they were having like a lot of sugar or carbs before this, but was it hard to kind of transition them like out of that way of eating?
Yeah, there wasn't many questions. I think because they're so young. I mean, the little one just turned 3, and then my older one just recently turned 5. So it wasn't like it was a free for all sad diet to begin with. So there weren't many questions. Like they haven't even asked, oh, why don't we have vegetables? But I did get El Pollo Loco a few weeks ago, and it came with a side, so I got broccoli. I'm like, I just want to see. I mean, if they have it, whatever. It's not like the worst thing they could be eating, but they took a bite and they're like, ugh. Well, they love meat, and they know like that we love meat and we only eat meat. And, you know, they're like, every time they eat burgers, like my little one's always flexing and being like, look at my muscles. So they know like the protein's helping their muscles. You ask my 3-year-old, like, you know, what is fat? And she'll say flavor. Yeah. So it's just, you know, just trying to teach them like what these things are doing and how eating this fat is like good for your brain and, you know, the protein. And so essentially kind of talking about macros, I guess. The protein really is what comes up, and fat, and just trying to help them like be mindful and just hope for the best that I'm not screwing them up.
No, oh my God, that literally sounds amazing. I was just thinking, imagine if we were all raised that way, you know, instead of just here's another bowl of like sugary cereal and Pop-Tarts and toaster strudels. Oh my God, all that stuff we used to eat. So I think that's so awesome. And like you said, the only thing you can really do is like try and educate them as best as you can. I'm sure it is stressful at times, like wondering, oh, like, am I restricting them? Are they going to want to eat this or that when they like go out and they get older and stuff like that? But at the end of the day, if you're educating them and you're sharing everything with them, that's really like all you can do. But I think kids are so fascinating. So my sister has 3 girls, 7, 5, and then the other one just turned 1. But the 7 and 5-year-old, so I go visit them a lot. They live in Texas, and they know I'm carnivore. And every time I go visit, they get so excited. They're like, I'm carnivore this week. I don't want any vegetables. I want to be carnivore like Auntie Mona. And even if you just observe kids, like they don't want to eat vegetables. Like even before this, like every time I've been around them, it's like they'll eat their beef, they'll eat the rice, whatever, but they just don't want to eat the vegetables. And just even thinking about my own childhood growing up, being forced to like eat your vegetables before you get off the table, or you got to eat those first. And it's like, now we realize getting to the carnivore diet, okay, maybe there's actually a deeper reason why we never wanted those things. It's super interesting to me.
Yeah, that they're just like designed to know that, oh, maybe my body doesn't want this. But they also gravitate towards Pop-Tarts if they were out. So I'm not totally sure
Yeah, that's true for sure.
But that's because it's a drug. The sugar is a drug, and they're getting those dopamine hits. So
like everyone wants it. Like it's just simple as that.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sister just went carnivore. She's been carnivore on and off for like the last like few months, but she just got like pretty strict. So now like her kids are eating more of that way too. And she was saying the same thing as you. She's like, I have this like internal guilt about not making vegetables, or I go to the grocery store and I'm not buying them. And she's like, I don't know how to not feel guilty about that. And I'm sure it's even like a lot harder as a mom, but in general, we're breaking like those societal norms that we've been taught for so long. Like vegetables, like what do you mean? Those are the best things for you. So I was just telling her, like, honestly, with time, it gets easier and easier. And maybe you can share like another opinion on that, or do you think it really is just as simple as that?
Yeah, it gets easier to not have that because you realize that they're thriving without them, and they're doing just fine because the meat has all the nutrients we need, and they're also getting some fruit, so they're getting stuff from that. So yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I want to talk specifically a little bit more about your diet. I know we've kind of brushed up on it a bit, but what is like, did you eat yet today? Did you have breakfast? Do you usually do 2 meals a day? Give us a look at like what that's like.
Yeah, so I ate today. I don't do any fasting like the week before my period. So that is where we are right now. So I do have 3 meals a day. I have been trying to incorporate some animal-based carbs during that week too. So having some yogurt or scallops or milk, like those are all great ways to get carbs in. And I have a love-hate relationship with dairy. So I'm constantly battling that. I mean, spoken like a true addict, but I'm never going to be completely free. Like I will never give it up. I do try and like be mindful about it. Those creamy coffees, like that's what gets me. Like
I'm not going
to binge on like a block of cheese, but I could easily chug like a gallon of cream. So I just try and pay attention to that. But normally, yeah, I do probably eat like 2 meals a day. Lately, I've been trying to do more intermittent fasting. I did like a 44-hour fast last week, and that was my first like longer one. It's usually only been like 20 hours. And that felt great. So yeah, I mean, my goal is to just prioritize beef and the other animals and be minimal dairy, but it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes I just need that bowl of pork rind cereal. So
You and your pork rind cereal. Oh,
so
dairy is such a love-hate. It's so frustrating because to me, like, I could easily survive just off beef. Like, well, I know butter is dairy, but like beef, butter, and like cheese, all dairy in general. But I really struggle with cutting out dairy. But the only time I lose weight is when I cut out dairy. So I know it's making me inflamed, but it's just extremely frustrating. Like, I'm on day 5 and I lost 8 pounds already. It's just like, but I know I'm going to gain it right back if I start having even like some goat cheese next week. So
yeah.
I don't know. The dairy thing is frustrated, but like I also do have mold poisoning, which, you know, one of the number one things you're supposed to stay away from is dairy. So I don't know if that will go away, but have you found a difference in like your inflammation or weight at all? Like, you just did line diet. So did you notice anything major or nothing significant enough to want to like really cut out dairy?
I notice that it messes with my hunger cues a little bit and it will make me more snacky, or I can eat it when I'm not hungry. If I'm just having meat and I'm not hungry, I'm not going to go eat a burger patty. But if I'm sitting here not hungry, I could still go eat cheese or something because it tastes good. So I think it can work for somebody. I think if I was actually like tracking my macros and just making sure I wasn't eating more than I needed, then I could have dairy. So I actually might go back to doing that. But yeah, I mean, I know people can tolerate raw dairy better than, pasteurized.
I tried that and it was the same thing. We have a really hard time getting raw dairy here. Like, the only time we were actually able to get it was from like my family in Iowa, and then we had to like drive it 8 hours in a cooler just to get it here. So it's really difficult, but we stocked up on raw milk and raw heavy cream. Oh my God. Raw heavy cream is just so good. But even when I ate those, I had the same issues. I'm still having freaking like diarrhea, stomach pains, like still super bloated. So I don't know. It might change when like all the mold is detoxed out of me, but I know a lot of people say that, like, oh, they have no issue with raw dairy, but they do with regular. So
Yeah, and it's also like, I don't know, for me right now, I've given up so much. Like, if dairy, because it's so delicious, helps make this way of eating like sustainable for me, then it is what it is. I mean, maybe I should ditch it to lose weight. I don't know. That's why it's like I'm constantly battling it. Like, I've given up everything else. Let me have some cream.
Exactly. Look how far you've come. Like, I don't really think it's obviously a major issue that's holding you back. You probably would have known by now. So
yeah, I mean, I did everything I did with still having dairy. So
exactly. So do you strictly only eat raw dairy, or what is that like for you?
No, and we do get raw dairy, but I've never only had raw. Like, we would still have like cream cheese or something that wasn't raw. So I don't know how I would feel on only raw dairy, but yeah, we have it accessible here. We have cream, milk, kefir, and then they have like a cheddar. It's from this farm in California called Raw Farm. They actually just teamed up with Saladino to make a smoothie for whatever this is, Erewhon or whatever.
Erewhon, yeah, that crazy bougie
so that's
LA place. Oh, okay, that's cool. I have so many questions for you still. I don't even know how this is possible. Okay, let's talk about coffee, because we are both coffee lovers. We've had these conversations before. What was that experience like for you when you went off coffee? What was that, a month ago or so?
Yeah, so I did, was it like 3 weeks or a month or something? I forget. And it was good. It was a good reset because it brought me back to having mostly decaf, because it kind of just spiraled out of control. I feel like having the caffeine messes with my energy levels, so I would have more caffeine to remedy that. So yes, bringing it back. I do mainly decaf. I have an espresso maker now, so I do like mostly decaf and like a little sprinkle of regular over the top, just to like get my kicks for the day. I mean, I don't drink anymore. Like, at least like let me have something to feel a little different. Maybe I should shoot for endorphins after working out, but I get my best from coffee right now. But yeah, I feel much better having decaf. So that would definitely be something I would recommend somebody to play around with. But I just love it. It tastes good to me. Like, I like black coffee too. I'll either have it black or insanely creamy, like no in between. That's disgusting. But I just love it. And it's a ritual. Like I tried like warm water and whatever. It was fine. Like I was fine on Lion, but I like
The
a little
warm water, no, no. I remember when I like tried cutting out coffee like a couple months ago, and I was talking to Jen about it, and I was like, I just can't stop thinking about coffee. I was like, take away all the food from me. That's fine. Take away my coffee. Just put me in the grave. And she's like, oh, well, like you can try hot water with like the element. And I was like, no, I'm not even, I'm not even going to try that. But yeah, everything you just said, it's like the ritual, like the smell, just everything, the taste. It's not even so much just about the caffeine. I'm
yeah.
on, I'm on day 4, I think, or 5 of no coffee. And literally
Okay.
yesterday, I went to our coffee cupboard and I just opened it and I was like,
Just smell it.
I was like, wow, I am an addict. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it just makes my breathing like insanely worse. But have you heard of Purity Coffee? Because I just ordered a package from them and they do like, they specifically test their coffee for like mold mycotoxins, which is super cool.
Okay. I feel like I have seen someone post about that. I tried a bag of what is it, Danger coffee or something. And
Mm.
they're like a mold free one too.
Is that the one that Animal Based Bay uses?
I
Or
don't
no, that
know.
might. There's a few
Somebody,
different ones now.
yeah, I forget whose company it is. It's someone big. I forget who they are.
Yeah. So at least there's like options for that now. So I should get it this week, and then we'll see.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm with you. Coffee for the win for sure. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting question because I'm not sure what your answer will be. Do you think a strict carnivore diet is actually sustainable? And when I say strict carnivore diet, I mean no dairy, 0 carbs, basically just meat and like beef fat.
I guess it is because I've seen people do it. For me, it would be not because I just need a little bit more than that. I just love my dairy. But yeah, I feel like it just depends on what your why is and why you're doing that and why you need to. I mean, I probably should be that way because I do have a little cream addiction going on. But yeah, I mean, unless you have like, that an addiction to dairy or severe health issues, then you probably don't need to go that extreme unless that's like how you feel your best.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only one that thinks this, but obviously there's the carnivore community is pretty big now online. There's so many different people saying so many different things. And I know for me, when I was first getting into carnivore, I just felt like a failure. I just felt like it was like so hard for me. I'm seeing all these people that just like eat their steak and then move on with their day and they're not hungry anymore. And it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if everything that people are posting is 100% true. I don't know if you ever have those thoughts as well, but it's like it can be very intimidating to somebody who is maybe like just starting their journey because even with me, like I like to share when I kind of fall off and like the things that I eat and stuff like that because it makes it more relatable for people. So, yeah, do you have an opinion on any of that?
I don't know, because honestly, this is the first time I've ever eaten a certain way and haven't fallen off. Like, and I can't really like speak to that. It seems like a lot of people do fall off. But yeah, I don't know. It's been easy for me in a way. And I don't know why. Maybe
Yeah,
just
that's amazing.
knowing that having one thing, I think just I'm more aware right now and aware of like my addictions and just knowing if I have one bite of something that I'm screwed and it's just going to go downhill from there. So I think having that awareness probably made a huge difference in that. But as far as like
Yeah.
other people and like what they're sharing, yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
everyone's being honest or not.
Yeah, yeah, it's just something I just randomly think about. But yeah, I think for me, anyways, because it's been over a year for me. I started in like July of last year, and it's still really hard for me. Like when I talk to people like you, it's like I don't feel like I'm even close to being there yet. But I don't know if that's something that just comes with time and like experience. Like I really only dove into like my health journey, especially with food, a year ago. Or even you, like you still had quite a bit of experience with like keto and stuff like that, even though you were still struggling. So I don't know. Maybe it is just something that will happen with time.
Yeah, and I mean, this is also like I feel like I finally found the end of the road after 25 years of trying all the things. So that could just be a part of it too,
Yeah,
starting off
no, for
Weight
sure.
Watchers at 13. So
Yeah, that's crazy. No, you've been through a lot with that. Okay. What would you say are your 3 biggest tips? Like, I'm a brand new person right now. I just found your channel. I'm like, oh my God, I want to start, but I don't even know what direction to go in. What would be your 3 biggest tips to somebody getting into it?
Just start eating more meat. No shame in like easing into this. Like I don't want anyone to feel like they need to like go cold turkey. Like just make some changes. That'll make it easier. That will let your tummy adjust too. You know, those liquid stools that tend to happen in the beginning are no fun when you're getting used to eating this amount of fat. So yeah, just eat it, ease into it, up your meat intake. I would encourage anybody to give it a shot at least 30 days. 90 days would be even better. I feel like 90 or 30 days, like that was great, but then like something magical happened after like 3 months. And I don't even know like how to explain it, but it got even better. So I would definitely try that. Another tip for getting started. I guess like remember your why and remember why you're doing this because especially in the beginning, like those sugar cravings can get to you and you might fall off track. So just remind yourself like why you're doing this. And I'll give a little bonus one. Speaking of like the sugar cravings and stuff, if you are having those in the beginning, like go try and distract yourself, do some push-ups, do anything. In the moment, you can like have a bubbly water or a bite of butter and just wait for it to pass. And just know that it's like, I heard Kelly Hogan say this, know that it's your addiction that wants that cookie and not you. So
Yeah.
find something to get you through that time.
Yeah, no, that's really good for sure. There's 2 other things, important things that I want to talk about. Number 1 was macros. So, what is your opinion on that? Because some people like to do even protein to fat, some people like to do 80-20, higher fat. What have you experimented with all of it? What do you find is best for you? And do you have a general opinion on what you would recommend to others?
Yeah, I always say that starting out, whatever your goal weight is, like for me, it would be 130. I would suggest starting with 130 grams of protein and 130 grams of fat and make adjustments from there. I think that's a really good starting point. And then you can play around after you kind of get used to that. I tried 80-20 for like, I don't know how long I did it, maybe a month, maybe not even. I liked it, but I don't know why I stopped, honestly. I think I kind of just fell away from it naturally. I just tend to eat a little bit more protein in general than those macros were telling me to eat. But I think, yeah, tracking can be a good tool, especially when you're new. If you're coming from a place of under eating, it gives you that permission. Like, okay, you can eat all
Yeah.
this. Like, this is allowed. Like, you can eat like this and you won't like gain weight or whatever. Or if you're coming from a place of overeating, it's nice to like see like, okay, this is what I should be eating. Your hunger cues might be out of whack from all the crap you've been eating, but it just gives you a visual because I know I needed that visual in the beginning. Like what should I be eating? So just
Yeah.
knowing even like a minimum of a pound of meat. And I feel like that's even like the low end of protein. I feel like typically people are eating, at least like women, a pound to a pound and a half a day. If you don't want to track macros, like just aiming for that,
Mhm.
trying to get, prioritizing that protein. I think a lot of people can also fall into the high fat, meaning that it's also low protein, and that's not necessarily
Yeah.
true. So, I mean, I would say minimum of 90 grams of protein, and I feel like that's even
Pretty
low.
low.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely don't go lower than that.
No, that's really good advice. Yeah, I kind of fell into that trap too, where actually, my protein, I was kind of the opposite. My protein was too high, my fat was too low, and that caused me issues. I was doing like upwards like 180 to 200 grams of protein, which was a lot, and maybe like 90 to like 100 grams of fat. And I was starving. I was like having
Mhm.
all these issues. Like felt so depressed. And then as soon as I swapped those numbers, or like even increased my fat, like it made such a big difference. So I think it's important for both. I think people will focus kind of like on one or the other, like just hitting their protein or just hitting your fat. But I like what you said. Even just doing a 1-to-1 ratio, like it's a pretty safe bet. Like you'll probably be okay with that.
Yeah, and then to make adjustments from there. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up like the lower fat thing because the whole PSMF thing that like Maria has going on, I don't want to like throw her under the bus, but a lot of people don't feel great eating that way.
Yeah.
And it can cause issues. And it's a lot of protein and not a lot of fat. And we need fat for our hormones and satiety.
Yes.
That's what I say?
I always struggle to say that word. Yes.
Satiated
Satiety.
society. Yeah. So we need to prioritize our fats too.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. This just reminded me of something super random, but oh my God, have you watched that show on Netflix called Alone?
Mm-mm.
Oh my, okay, you have to watch it. I don't really watch that much TV,
Sounds
but
creepy.
no, it's amazing. I'm super into like reality TV series and like documentaries and stuff like that. Basically, it's a survival show where like
Okay.
a bunch of people are like placed in like the wild and they have to survive. And it was so interesting to watch that because obviously they had to hunt and catch all of their food. And this one guy killed a moose, so he had like 600 pounds of meat. He was good to go, but he only had like a couple buckets just of the fat. Long story short, he like hid his fat at like this thing he made at the top. But the wolverines and like all these animals kept coming to steal his fat. So, anyways, all of his fat got stolen. He still had all this protein, but he ended up having to like tap out early because like he couldn't survive without the fat. And I was watching it and I was just like, this is so interesting because it's literally like all the proof is right there. Like you're in the wild. Protein's great, you need it, but you need the fat to survive.
That is really interesting. I feel like
Right?
you should like share a clip of that or something and bring that to people's attention online.
I know. I wanted to make like a post about it and I never did, but yeah, you have to watch it. It was really, really cool to see. Um yeah, so macros, that's good. I think there was one other thing. Oh yeah, drinks. Do you, do you ever have any drinks?
Drinking right
Cheers.
now.
Do you ever have any stevia sweetened drinks? I know you do Element. Do you only do unflavored?
Yep, I only do the raw unflavored, no fake sweeteners for me. I feel like that would just kick in my cravings again.
Really?
But
Okay. So,
that's what I have right now. I have bubbly water. Okay, I have been actually, so this is interesting, having a strawberry bubbly water that I mix it,
mm,
but there's no sweeteners. Granted, there is natural flavor, so Lord knows what is in that, but whatever's happening, it's not making me crave sweets. It's just a
okay.
good flavor. But that's new. Before I was just doing regular water with the unflavored or bubbly water with the unflavored electrolytes because I'm a drink person and I like the way
Same.
it tastes even unflavored.
Yeah, I know. I weirdly like the unflavored Element electrolytes. I don't know. People think that's gross, but I'm like, I think when you're on carnivore too, your taste buds change so
Mhm.
much, and you just appreciate other things that you wouldn't before. But yeah, I used to be addicted to bubblies. I love the strawberry one. I used to drink that a lot, but I usually don't have cans anymore. Like I'm literally drinking a can right now. It's just the PC like blueberry pomegranate, but I just enjoy like regular sparkling water. I do drink Zevias though, like Zevia root beer and like Zevia cools and stuff like that. And it's actually the only thing that helps me when I want to binge, which is weird.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how like different everyone is. Like a couple days ago, because it was only day 3 strict carnivore, I opened the pantry and I was like looking at the potato chips and I was like, no, Mana, please don't do this. Like, please don't do this. And I grabbed a Zevia root beer, I drank it, and I went to bed and I was good. So little things like that, I don't know, they help me sometimes.
Yeah, whatever works, honestly. Whatever helps someone stay on track and keep with it. Yeah, I'm all for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Oh my God, this is so good. So many good things that we're talking about. Um, fruit and honey, dairy. Yeah, we already talked about all of that. I know there's definitely going to be something that I'm forgetting, but do you feel like there's anything else you want to share about your own journey, about carnivore, anything you feel like we missed? That's a super important topic that you want to touch on.
I don't think so. I think we nailed everything that I like to make sure has been said. So we're good. You asked great questions. We covered it
Okay.
all.
Cool. Yeah, no, that was so fun. I feel like even I learned so much. So I know that everyone who is watching will as well. So yeah, thank you for coming on today. I feel like we've already been friends for so long, even though this is our first time
I
like
know, but I
talking.
feel we talk in the DMs all the time that it just feels comfortable and natural.
Yeah, 100%. But honestly, thank you for your time. I'll see you on the hateful side of TikTok. Let's just keep having each other's back and being there for each other.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
No problem. See ya.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love Courtney. She's amazing. I'm going to put all of her details, her socials, YouTube channel, all of it in the description. If you're not following her, you're missing out. So please make sure you go follow her. And of course, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications so you're always up to date when I upload a new video. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.